Okay, this is a brand new series I'm thinking about for this channel. Um, so basically, the name of the series is Please Fix Thanks. You probably don't know this meme. It's kind of more LinkedIn centric or investment banking or whatever, but basically, it's like late at night, you get a text, and it's it's a 100-page slide deck or something like that, and you've got to change all the you know you've got to change all the round bullets to square bullets, or change the font or something like that, and it's going to be all this work, and it's late at night. It's got to be ready for the next morning, and it's kind of this uh, really informal way that superiors can talk down to the people working under them, via late night text messages or Teams messages or whatever. Please fix thanks is the meme. Basically, I chose this title because what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to look at some very large trading losses like this one. So this is TJR. October 22nd, 2025, last year. Yeah, so he's done for the trading day. He traded NQ futures in the New York Open. He traded into the 10 a.m. options expiry. He was going long. He tried to go long right after the New York Open at 9:30 a.m. And then he tried to go long again. It looks like around 10:15 a.m. On the 1 minute chart. So what I want to do is, I'm no expert in trading NQ, but I want to load it into FX Replay just to look at on the very low time frames. He's a scalper, and just to kind of replay where he was, and just kind of go back in hindsight and look at maybe what he would have seen had he had been trading using CRT and thinking about more in the frame of turtle soup. He's an ICT trader. I actually don't know enough about his trading to know what form of ICT, because there's a lot of different ICT traders. There's IFVG traders like Dodgy. There's turtle soup traders only. There's CRT traders. There's a whole bunch. So anyways, we'll go all the way up to the market open on October 22nd, and just fast forward a little bit from here. Because I think I put it in. I wanted to be conservative, and I didn't want to. I wasn't quite sure where FX Replay was going to start, so I put in October 21st instead. But we have to kind of just go through the previous day of trade. Clearly, NFP last year in October, that Friday the 10th there, I think that must have been NFP, was very bearish for the NASDAQ in the short term. It made this large down close candle. And man, I'm already looking at this thinking like, this is essentially a news wick, right? Let's look at he was on the minute chart, looking at that price action. But where was the candle from Friday the 10th? Maybe go back to the hourly chart and look at this. Yeah, so I guess it wasn't technically a news wick. It wasn't the NFPs either. Friday, October 10th. Some terrible news. Maybe, this was this Bitcoin. Yeah, this was when Trump broke the Bitcoin. I remember this. This is tariff related. Yep, this was tariff news. So, the NASDAQ, obviously, you've got these blue chip tech stocks in the NASDAQ 100, but, it's not immune to tariff news. But anyways, it looks like we do have a CRT, and I think he mentions an SMT with ES, with the S&P 500. However, we still have a draw on liquidity down there. And just going back to, I want to pop his trades on. Actually, I can pop his trades on there when I get closer to the actual time frame. So let's fast forward through Asia, or through the NYPM in Asia, and going through London. I don't want to miss. I'm going really fast here. So price looks like overall in this overall range, it looks very, very much still in premium, right? So in other words, just thinking about it in like old school terms where, if you've got this range, this large run on Friday, October 10th, this is the premium, this is the discount. Price is very much in premium. So just on that level, like him looking for those really aggressive longs, and, it's $250,000 almost, right? I think it was $240,000 he talks about. So he's really sized up. He's got a lot of conviction in those trades he took, just based on, like, am I on the right day? Yeah, I am. Good. Based on his volume, based on how much leverage he's choosing to use in the futures market. I mean, price really did snap back up. I mean, and this is a CRT, right? And look at that. That's our 1 hour model number 1, right? We retest. I guess we don't really. We never really tested that. So that might have been why price wants to dump back down, is because we kind of teased it, but we never really tested the body of that hourly candle. Okay, so 6 a.m. I'm like kind of surprised at price action right now, and I'm surprised at his bias. I'm surprised that he's looking at what I'm looking at right now and then being bullish biased. I mean, it's one thing to look for a kiss of death, but like $250,000 on a kiss of death in NQ with lows that I'm feeling a little suspect. I mean, he's buying higher highs, or he's buying highs, trying to get to a higher high, essentially, which it does work. I mean, it's a kiss of death, but doesn't look super promising from what I'm looking at right now, at least on the hourly chart. Okay, so it's 8:30. I'm gonna slow it down pretty fast here. I know he took a trade like right after 9:30. I'm gonna go back to the I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. So there's the market open right there, and it starts dumping. So, just as far as like the feel of the timing of all this, it kind of does look like, I can put myself in his shoes where you wake up in the morning and you really want to trade, and you see that the market's dumping into the 9:30 open. And you see that there was kind of this bullish trajectory going on. But I think the main problem is, and he's on the minute chart in that picture. So we're really drilling down. It almost doesn't even look like I'm looking at the same. It almost looks like I'm looking at a different chart than him. But anyways, this is the 9:30. Was this the high? So it does dump, but then it makes a higher high, and then it dumps again on the minute chart. This is a problem with trading the minute chart too, is it's can be pretty. Yeah, that's exactly what he did though. If you go back to the YouTube here, I'll sorry to get a little lost in the sauce here, but I'm gonna flick you back over to Brave. Yep, here we go. And yeah, so we're on the minute chart, and it's almost like it. I mean, to me, he's trying to get bullish, almost like a continuation. So let's go back to the FX replay. I'll show you what I'm mumbling about here. And we'll play it forward for a couple candles here. So yeah, we got the open. It's too bad, because if he had just clicked it right on the right on that 9:30, like that's essentially a CRT right there of that little teeny range. Yeah, we pop back up. So this is essentially his first try. And I don't really know what the risk to reward profile or where his final target is. I'm guessing it's like this high right here and this high, and he's just scalping higher. So he's basically thinking like, okay, bullish CRT, right, of these lows. We took out this high, and I'm going to get long there. But my problem is it really a CRT if, I mean, that's like one of the biggest things I try to ask myself as a trader. Like, I always try to ask myself, like, if this is a CRT, what candle range are we taking out? Like, so on the 15-minute chart, is the story that we've taken out this low and that we're going to pop higher? Let's keep zooming out. The 1 hour chart, the story is that we took out this low and that we're going to continue higher. Yeah, so I can see it. I can actually see it as a total kiss of death type of play. Yeah, but let's go the 4 hour chart. I mean, it just looks like we've been rejected, and then I would love to see, we've got the consecutive fair value gaps, right? But I would, and this has been a bearish CRT of that particular 4 hour candle, this one right here. But considering how quickly price moved through here, and I mean, look at this candle. This bottomless candle right here is so suspect to me, as far as like to me, this is your short-term draw in liquidity, right? To me, it's kind of like we traded up, we made a fair value gap, we made another fair value gap, and then and actually two more technically, right? But before we go higher, shouldn't we take this out? Like, shouldn't we like really penetrate back down into this range? And I get it, because this was left untouched up here, and I'm sure given the dynamics in 2025, I mean, you still have like Nvidia trading the way it did with the Nasdaq. You probably didn't have a higher high being made in ES. So yeah, so like I'm thinking, I mean, if I were trading this right now, I'm not sure my bias would be long until this draw on liquidity was taken out. Yeah, and that's only the 4 hour chart. I mean, looking at the daily, so there's no other fair value gap. So that's your first fair value gap. Yeah. Yep. So isn't that interesting that it's this entire daily candle, right? And then it's this 1 hour kind of CRT that's happening, right? A 1 hour CRT of a daily candle, being like that might be an order block, right? Retest, go short till that draw of liquidity below the low of the daily candle. So like the Monday daily candle. Ouch, man. Ouch, dude. Ouch. So yeah, it's only ouch because he leveraged way too much. I mean, if he, I'm not trying. I mean, I'm sure he's super successful, and trading it's all about your results on average, right? It's not just any given day that determines who you are as a trader, and I'm sure he's an amazing trader. He's actually a much better trader than me, probably. But to me, you've got a low liquidity resistance run, like that nice little trend line there, right? And then you've got on the 4 hour chart of futures here, you've got a bottomless candle, like sitting right into an FEG below a daily low, right? With an hourly model number one. I mean, it's really the confluence here. The confluence is starting to really add up. So proceeding through here, I'll get to the spot where he tries to make his next trade. So just going back to Brave, it looks like, oh yeah, right after 10:15. Oh, so I already kind of passed it. Man. So he really just wants to buy that little retest right there, huh? So he takes a trade. pretty soon after the market open and gets stopped out. Then he takes another trade at 10:15 and then he gets stopped out. It's wild. That is wild. But yeah, lots of bearish continuation into those lows I've identified, if I could guess. Afternoon session. Dumps. Yeah. And this might be one of those things where, you know, if you're trading the 2 p.m. session, like the NYPM, you could maybe have a short scalp, or sorry, a long scalp. And then I think it actually does probably become a pretty good setup for a continuation. So let's stay on the hourly chart. Let's just see what happened after, because I think it does rip after this. It's got to. Yeah, so this is the 3, or sorry, it's still 1 p.m. candle, huh? Yeah, so you're expecting like reaction from here, because we're still so bullish, and this hasn't been taken out yet. Yeah, so your long scalp would have been just waiting to finish my sentence here, just based on price. Yeah, so that's the close. Yep. So you would have got your 50% of that candle, right? Then futures market open and it probably rips in Asia, doesn't it? Let's see, because we've got a model number 1 right there. That's a model number 1. Fat down close candle, fair value gap. Retests it. Asian market opens during the retest, right? Let's see it build. So much slower price action in NASDAQ during the Asian session compared to the New York session. It might be setting up more LRLR and then dump into it again. Because I don't think we've tested the SISD. Yeah. There we go. Nice. Okay, that's really nice. That was actually really textbook the way it did that. So like in the NYPM, those traders formed that price action formed this order block. It retests in Asia, but as it's retesting in Asia, you kind of heard me mumbling about this, but it's forming that LRLR, that rising trendline liquidity. The rising trendline liquidity was the sell side liquidity needed to propel this little boost we got in the subsequent NYAM. So in other words, here's market open, right? And then we continue higher from here. I'm thinking. I mean, we're at higher highs, so like, I don't know. I'm more of a commodity trader, to be honest. Yeah, so we don't quite get there that day, but boy, that was a nice response. I mean, talk about from like from a CRT aspect. Anyways, that's TJR. I'll just let him continue to talk to us here.